This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
We'll actually record this meeting. Okay, there we go. We remember what we're talking about. Okay, calling to order the meeting of the Southampton Master Plan Implementation Committee for February 1st at about 7:05ish, or a little bit after. And we have with us tonight Francine Tishman, Paul Fergal, Sierra Simmons, Lexi Richard, Alice Badeker, and Christina Madsen on Zoom. Correct. We're all here. All right, that's great. Well, thanks everybody for getting together. This is sort of the new committee. We had an early meeting, Paul, just an introductory meeting last month, I guess it was. So we are really glad to have you here. I must say you're sort of outnumbered a little bit, but that's,
right.
you know.
I'm used to it.
No, we really appreciate you. So just to say who's in charge of which committees you're representing. So Alice, you're
Parks Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Conservation.
Mm-hmm.
And the Housing Authority.
Planning board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, large.
Mm-hmm. Chris?
Historical.
Yep, and select board. So we got a good group here, and we may have I don't know. There's another person who said he was interested in maybe joining Master Plan as a large member. So I sent him an invite, but he might not have gotten it in time. So we'll see if he shows up or not. So first order of business, I don't see any open time for the public people here, so let's just jump right in. We have our minutes from last meeting, just very briefly. Thanks, Chris, for taking these, and then Alice, you're our new clerk. So if anybody wants to just take a glance at these, I think they were short and sweet. Actually, I don't know where this all went, because it was a little bit, what was the date of that meeting here? Hang on.
It was the
December 7th, here we go. December 7th meeting is when we had last time. Okay. So if anybody would like to make a motion just to approve the minutes.
So moved.
All right, can I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Francine, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, perfect. We'll get rid of those guys. Good, all right, good. So what I thought we would do tonight is try to go through whatever we can. If I can find the right page, let's see if I got the right one here. Yeah, okay. So in my wisdom, I got bored of trying to go chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, which is kind of the way normal people would do it, right? But I figured we may as well do some of the meatier ones. There's a couple of chapters that I thought maybe hadn't had a whole lot of. Oh, this is the appendix one. Of course, I didn't want that one right now. Well.
Oh, is it on the one on the left there? If you look at the top, there's two tabs.
Oh yeah,
See that other one?
Here's the other one here. Yeah. Okay. Is it that one? Maybe. Yes. Okay.
There you go.
Very good. All right. So this is the actual plan part, and then you know what I bet I didn't do is put up the update part. Christine.
No, I've got it. The update is right in front of me.
Yeah.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is okay. This should be it. Okay. Thought I did.
We're good.
Thought I did. Get confused. I got too many things open here. Okay, yeah, this is the last update. So what I thought we would do would be to take chapters 1, 5, and 8, see how far we can get with them. And chapter 1, you just scroll down to where we are here. So much narrative in the beginning. Come down. Here we are. So chapter 1 is on housing. Is that big enough for everybody here to see? I can make it a little bit bigger if you want.
A little bit.
Perfect for me.
A little bit bigger.
I'll go.
There we go.
How's that?
That's better.
All right. So I thought we'd go through this. So I think it's housing. What did I say? It was mobility and land use. I think are the three that I thought we might try to tackle as much as we can tonight. So this is stuff that the original master plan, obviously exists from 2013. This was the update that we had done 2020, I believe it was, 2021-ish, 2020, I think. And so periodically we come back and just sort of take a status check as to where things are and anything that may have changed since we last met. So I think we'll just try to go down through these a little bit and see if we have any news about them, and if we don't, we don't. But I mean, at least to kind of go through these outstanding ones. And these are supposed to be the shorter term goals and objectives. The appendix document, which we might get to if we have time, those are the medium and long-term goals. But I have a feeling that there's some in the medium long-term that have either already been done, or they kind of migrated, a bit to the shorter term goals. So let's just start with housing. And obviously I'm going to turn to Sierra quite a bit, and Paul, if you have any knowledge of any of this stuff related to zoning, perhaps. Strategy 1A, new mixed-use commercial residential districts. I don't know if there's anything on that.
Is our goal to like update this table for another?
Well, we're not going to change the document. It's more just a progress report. So
Okay.
at this point
Are
in
we going
time,
to try to do? When do we want to try to do our next progress report?
in terms of the document itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't know.
A while. Okay. Cool. So it's more just a
Planned on
discussion.
that.
It's not like we're trying to get super specific.
No, I mean, because we had a consultant go through and help us. This was a master, event that we had to go through to get this all updated. So this is more just a check-in status so that people can go back to their boards and commissions and say, okay, well, hey, this came up at, master plan, are we doing anything about this? Is it obsolete? Is it not relevant anymore, or whatever? So I don't know. I think this is more just going to be for us, and I think maybe Alice, in terms of note taking, is just do the 1A and whatever our thought is, if anything. I guess. Yeah. So I don't know. Between Sarah or Paul, I don't know in terms of any talk about mixed-use commercial districts.
I do have a potential update or status there.
Sure.
So I think this is about the 40R district. I think there may be something else about 40R in here, but that is, 40R is a mixed-use commercial residential district. And this is something we've been looking into on the Housing Authority, because we've heard from some of our consultants at MHP that that's a great way to encourage affordable housing development. So it turns out that in 2012, there was a 40R application and process completed, pretty much, I got the document from Paul Diamond, and it is long and it's complete, and it's almost ready to go, and it looks like it just got to this point where it was about ready to be submitted, and then it was sort of abandoned.
Okay. Before we go too far, because we've all kind of new jargon, and we've got people that will be watching it. 40R, just tell us what that is.
So 40R is a smart growth mixed-use district overlay zoning district. And you can set up a deal with the state where you commit to designating a 40R district. They'll give you some incentives, not huge incentives, but some incentives, they do give a little money to the town for designating it. And it's supposed to make development easier for people in areas that aren't zoned for residential living, to, for example, maybe around the Big Y area was where they looked, to build affordable housing and market rate housing mixed in with commercial development. Basically, it's sort of a mixed use district.
Okay. And would that take into account, for example, we've got the Red Rock Plaza there, which is all commercial. If you were to ever think about a second story, I don't know if it's doable, but if there were a second story on those commercial buildings for housing,
that kind of thing.
That would be something that could be envisioned, maybe.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to get what we were thinking about. I'm just trying to think where would there be some land around the Big Y
It's a tough one
to do that. Okay, so that might have been talked about at some point, but then it never kind of
so I'm on a mission to figure out what happened here, and here's what I've learned so far. So Paul Diamond said he thought that they determined that a study was done, and they determined that setting up the sewage and water infrastructure was going to be essential for the 40R district, but it was too expensive for us to do, so that nixed it. But there was nothing in the report that said that, and it kind of looked like it could have gone forward. There was nothing, there was a next steps document. It looked pretty feasible. So I've been trying to track down what happened. It was John Furman, who was on the planning board at that time. And we reached out to him to ask him, and he didn't remember why they didn't move forward. And the person at PVPC who helped do this application with them, Jane something, is no longer there, but we did reach out to Concomia to see if they had any notes on it. So anyone with institutional knowledge from 2012, I don't know how long you've been around. If you know anyone else I should ask, what happened, Because it seems like it was kind of good to go and we could just pick it up and keep going. And it won't necessarily result in more housing, but it doesn't like hurt us to have it. Just gets us money.
Just to actually create a district. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming it would have to be tied in somehow to the zoning bylaws? Or do we already have a zoning bylaw?
Those would need to be updated.
Yeah.
Needs to be updated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so as we've done the updates of the zoning bylaws, that one, the commercial overlay or whatever they call this district,
The 40R
40R,
that you're
yeah.
speaking of. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge, as mentioned before, has been the utilities or the lack of.
Yeah. Because right now the utilities, do they not go as far as the car wash?
We go about to the car wash.
They go as far as the car wash, but they don't go to Puza's, right? They don't go to Pure Food.
Right.
I don't believe. I think they
Right.
stop at the car
Utilities
wash.
as in sewer.
Yeah.
Sewer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's a bit of a limited area. Was that the only sort of area that they were thinking of, was right around?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the most promising area because it's got sort of many things close to it. And they really want it to be like, close to public transportation. I don't know what that is, but that kind of thing. Well, it's helping you can walk to Big Y from there, so that's helpful.
Yeah. Well, unless you tried to hitchhike on the Frigga van, I don't know that you're going to get too much
No other public
transportation.
transportation.
I don't think so. Okay, well, anyway, at least the start. I think you reached out to the right people. I mean, Paul Demon's certainly been around forever on the planning board and with John Furman as well. And I mean, I don't know who else would know. I mean, I'm just wondering if Ken can find something through PVPC, but I'm assuming that it would have had to come past planning board towards select board at some point in time,
Yeah.
which would have been early, gosh, I don't know, maybe
Before our time.
13s and the 14s or something. Yeah.
Paul Demon said that, and am I saying his name right?
Yes.
Okay, he said that it was like he had just started at that point, so he didn't like quite, he was like, I was just barely getting acclimated when this thing happened, so he doesn't have a super clear memory of it, but yeah, I'll keep it.
Yeah, well, maybe just, keep, I mean, it may be dead in the water and it may be so old that it might have to be rethought through.
Yeah.
You might need another PVPC consultant to sort of update it if it's
But they
worth-
might have
if
an
it's
easier
worth
job
updating.
doing it than doing it from scratch,
True.
so,
But I think
it'd be
it's
helpful.
probably at a planning board action list with
Yeah.
collaboration with housing, I would assume.
Yeah,
which is
I'm gonna,
great, so.
yeah, that was the idea, was we would try to have a joint meeting with them
Yeah.
once I sort of get a little more information about
Okay.
what happened.
Sounds good. All right, well, let's keep on trucking. We don't need to know what we don't know. All right, 1B, selectively invest in infrastructure improvements to direct new residential units to areas the community has identified for growth. I'm not sure exactly what all that means.
Well, that's a big one. I mean, I think that's the spine for all the town
Yeah.
issues when it comes to redevelopment or development for that matter.
Yeah,
If you don't have infrastructure, then you're
right.
not getting anything built or make it very costly for anyone to develop something.
Yeah. But we can still put in housing with septic. We can still put in some level of commercial with just septic, right? I mean, we don't have to, I mean, it's certainly more attractive to have a sewer line, but I guess it just depends on the kind of business you want to attract, right? Because at this point in time, even backing up on what we were just talking about, I believe even the old Harley place is hooked up for it, but they never hooked into it.
Yeah.
They have access to the sewer line, but they never chose to actually hook up to it. So whatever moves in there, might have a benefit.
I was hoping
to-
that we could use that for like a big mixed-use residential building, but I heard Dollar Tree bought it, so.
Oh, well.
It was bought?
I heard Dollar Tree, but I thought I heard it from like Janet, so if you don't know that.
No, I thought they were renting it.
Oh, okay.
It was
Yeah,
fine.
it might be
sorry.
it might be a rent, but
Okay.
might be a lease rather than purchase. I don't know. Okay, well, keep on moving. So,
Well, I have
Yeah,
a question.
yeah, go, please. Sorry.
Have any areas been identified for growth?
well, I mean, I don't know if they're any different from the ones that were in the original master plan. I guess that's the question, right? Because there were four main areas for development, or there not? In the original master plan? Let me stop sharing this for a second, and I'll come back to it if I don't lose it.
Village centers or something.
Hang on, if I had this right here. Hang on, a minute, affordable housing.
There was discussion the planning board about strategic parts in the town that should be considered as part of consideration particularly areas where it can be tied in to neighboring communities for sewage or water or whatnot. So I know in the southern part of town, we don't have water, but there's obviously a water connection that's been done by Westfield that is near where Cumberland Farms is to go to on North Road.
Yeah.
So whoever would be looking at that to establish spots would need to make those considerations as part of opportunities.
Yeah. So what I did on the town website, there is the original master plan from 2013. It's a honky document. So I went in and looked at just one excerpt out of Chapter 8, which was the land use, and this was the planning focus areas. So this is what was identified, Chris. I don't know if this is what you were referring to. So the East Hampton, Southampton town line. So there you go. That's what we're talking about. So this was the issue. No sidewalks in the area that would connect them. PVTA operates flex van service, only on a little bit there. Few residential uses. And then, yeah, whatever's there is tied into East Hampton probably. So that was an area.
As an update to note of, East Hampton doesn't have any more capacity on the Route 10 sewer side, but they have capacity off of Coleman where the rail trail ends.
How do they? Okay.
Yeah, or that general vicinity.
Okay.
So when they ran that extension of the rail trail towards Southampton, they put in sewer underneath the rail trail.
Oh, really?
So they have that section down there that could be utilized.
Huh. So kind of like right along Coleman Road.
So where Coleman Road intersects with the rail trail.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure if it comes all the way down to Coleman or it stops at that Wamiko. There's like a little industrial road that is a dead end. There's a warehouse.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the last manhole that they have there or continues down to Coleman, but it's relatively a short distance that can be chased if need be.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, at least somebody had some forethought at some point in time to do that, which I guess, as we do our own rail trail, there's a thought too, I guess, right? Interesting. Okay.
Dig in.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll just run through these real quick. So the second planning focus area was College Highway from Pomeroy Meadow Road to Gun Road, and this is a mixture of civic, commercial, residential uses. So obviously, school, post office. Well, it used to be Opa Opa, which is now the church on the corner there. I guess Duncan Paisanos, all that was still there at the time when we did
What
this.
about behind, Paisanos and East Hampton Savings Bank? I know they have some apartments.
Right, there's some
Is that subsidized housing?
subsidized housing of some sort
Is there any space
That's
back
Long Hill
there?
Gardens, is that it, right? That one right behind
I mean,
Cumbies.
I know the only subsidized housing we have is the Wayfinders one, which is
Right.
the old elderly housing, I think.
Which is where?
Which is next to Paisanos. I don't know if it goes around behind.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Oh,
so maybe it's-
Yeah, that's,
You're talking-
that's,
is an
if you're
elderly
facing
place back
Paisanos,
there.
you're
That's the
talking
Long Hill,
about to
yeah.
the left?
Yeah.
Or, okay, she's
Yeah.
talking about what's one?
That's the Long
I'm talking
Hill
about
Gardens.
behind.
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Down that little road.
Yeah, there's apartments down there.
That is
There's
long-
young,
They're
because there's
subsidized,
kids
though.
that wait for buses
Yeah.
over there.
That's the Long Hill Gardens, right, yeah.
I don't think they're affordable housing though. Pretty sure it's the only one we have.
Yeah.
I believe my recollection from being on that original committee was that Zero College Highway was put forth at that time regarding this growth area as being a potential for the 40R designation.
Yeah.
If I got that right, 40R.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So we've got a little bit here, Pomeroy Meadow and Lynn Drive has the highest number of auto crashes in town. Interesting, at the time. Okay, so I'm not, well, at the time, I don't know if Zero College Highway was actually,
No, it wasn't available. It
Right.
was just, that was the site that
Yeah.
we were looking at the map, was the open space
Right,
that
yeah. So-
could sustain that.
right, so it would be this planning area two, from
Yeah.
Pomeroy Meadow to Gun Road that would be where that Zero College Highway is across from Cumbies there, that open
Correct.
space that we were meeting about the other night. And then the third one, the Village Center, which is more
Yeah, what do they have to say about this?
Yeah, let's see.
The sidewalks,
Let's
okay.
see, yeah, a lot of stuff. Is that
Historic
big enough?
district.
Four historic homes, I don't know, planning focus. I mean, maybe supporting the increasing vitality of the area by enhancing pedestrian connections. There you go.
That I just feel like that needs to be done through there. Like if that bike trail is going in up at East Street, like you could connect with sidewalks from the center of town. So you could walk from up by Cumberland's up there safely, come down the sidewalk. If they did some type of sidewalk completion onto East Street, go down, you've got a park down there, you've got a library down there, you're gonna have a rail trail down there, you have the historic, the land trust or whatever that trail that's down there, and then connect it down to Strong Road, and you've got Labrie Fields down there, and I just feel like there's such a network that you could, just by really, it's really just like sidewalks to East Street, because you have the sidewalks along Route 10 safely
Although
coming out of the
some
park.
of those have got to be redone from the cemetery downhill because it's not a terribly great sidewalk, but that's some of the highway money. But there is, so there's a plan in the works. I mean, now that the bridge is done on East Street, right, the plan is to do some renovation of East Street from College Highway over as far as Whispering Meadows, I believe it
What's
is.
the update on that?
It's on the tip list as far as I know, so it's on the DOT plan.
Where's VHP with the design?
I don't know.
Because that's been talked about for the last...
I know recently...
And that's what I'm just saying, with all this other stuff coming in here, it's like, I feel like it's...
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know we had a report at Select Board about it getting onto the tip list, but I don't think I've seen any design work come to us anywhere
parking,
yet.
like if you're gonna have that bike trail, what are they saying, maybe 2026, which would be lovely.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna have that bike trail, you're gonna need like safe parking area, so that could be at Conant Park around the corner. And then somebody said at the rail trail, the Greenway meeting, I think, or presentation, that sometimes the state can give you quicker funding if it's a connector. Like if you had like a connector path from, say, Labrie parking lot to the rail trail or something, like a path there that people could ride safely, you can sometimes get something from the state for that.
Yeah, good to know. Yeah.
So it's 2028.
2028, okay.
That they think they're gonna do it?
Yeah, it's programmed for 2028.
Yeah. And I think some money has been set aside by the state, right?
9 million-ish.
Yeah, so 9 million has been set aside by the state.
Wow.
To redo.
Using my walker on that side.
So basically,
Yeah, make sure it's wide enough.
I know, right?
construct 2 11-foot travel lanes, 2-foot wide shoulders, a 10-foot wide shared use path.
Okay.
So that's going to make that connection to...
That would be similar to what's up in front of Cumbies.
Where is that gonna be? What part?
It says it's
East.
it's on east, from College Highway to Whispering Meadow Lane.
Okay,
But
so all the way
the
up.
sidewalk there on the bridge is, what, 8 feet wide?
That's like 10.
Is it 10 also?
Yeah,
it's
they would have
wide.
made, whatever they made the bridge is gonna be
That's
like
what
the
it's
same
gonna
width
be.
of the, I'm pretty
Okay.
sure they planned the bridge with the idea that the sidewalks coming and going would
That was considered.
be the same. Yeah.
Whispering Pines is before Bashistas, right?
Yes.
It's all the way down, right? That's not all the way down, but it's down there.
Yeah, it's right before, it's kind of stuck going a little bit further because right after Whispering Pines, there's a big dip in the road, and I think there's a culvert, and there's some, I don't know if there's a
Well,
bridge there.
Yeah, well, there's a big curve around that section. Right?
Yeah.
You're coming up the hill, right to your left, and there's a big curve there. So it's quite a ways that this project is going. And frankly, I doubt that they're going to get it done with this much money.
Yeah,
They're
it
good.
seems
They're going to need more.
a
How
little low.
much are they putting in for?
About 9 million.
Can't believe
What did Randall tell us?
Isn't it
It's like $1 million a mile, or not even
Well,
that.
for
It's more than that.
$10 million
Yeah,
a mile?
No, it's not 10, but it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, and that's just for paving a little
Yes.
bit of section, so
Yeah,
it's not even
that's
for
not-
It's
doing
more than a million, but yeah.
reconstruction, yeah. So anyway, just to say that there's some things, in the works on it. It's gonna be a few years down the line, but it's not been totally ignored, I guess. And then just briefly, the last one is Lockville to Brickyard Road to Fomer Road. So this is down by Sheldon's.
Okay.
So from Sheldon's up to Fomer Road.
I have to think about this. So it's across the street from Sheldon's, going up Brickyard,
Going down
crossing Route 10?
Brickyard to Fulmer.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, to Fulmer branches
right.
off up there, doesn't it? Like, that's where I.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just on College Highway,
Yeah. Yeah.
along near Sheldon.
so Lockville is where the canal is, right across from Sheldon's. There's the historic sign there.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
where the canal came through, but yeah, it's right parallel to Brickyard Road, basically. I'm
And they
not
want to do a sidewalk there?
sure. No, I don't know. I mean, this is the
Major
planning
opportunity
focus.
to enhance the cultural features of this area and improve
Yeah.
pedestrian connectivity.
So this was, 10 years ago, this was the plan. This was one of the identified areas to
Oh, the
focus
rail
on.
trail.
But it's industrial, yeah, because Lyman Metal is there, right? So I guess that's
Yeah.
somewhat industrial. Okay. It's already regulated by the floodplain overlay district and water supply district. Sheldon,
And not to
no
mention,
sidewalks.
it's all DOT jurisdictions.
Yeah. So again, anything there.
And that's where the trail's gonna come out too, right?
It's going
Sheldon's
to end
there.
at Sheldon's, yeah, exactly, yeah. So, anyway, just to say, those were sort of the 4 parts of town that had been identified as focuses, I guess, of some level of planning and development going forward, for what that's worth.
Mixed use, yeah.
So, just so it's there for you to know, yep. I'll come back up, oh, now did I lose that one again? Oh, gosh, where'd that one go? Okay, did I lose the one I wanted?
I think it's,
Sierra, you know where I put that one, where'd it go? I'm not
try
seeing it.
again, hit share screen again, I think it's on there.
It's gotta be here somewhere.
Yeah.
There it is. Up there, okay.
But then you didn't share it
did-
with Christine.
Did I lose Chris? Okay, so let me minimize you, hold on a minute.
I think it's the last one right there, yeah.
Yeah. We'll get there, okay. So anyway, that's what little we know about that.
Okay.
Amend the cluster bylaw to encourage that. Did we do that in our updated zoning things? Did you recall, Paul? So what's happened is that planning board through, gosh, I don't know how long you guys have been working on the zoning bylaws update, and with help from a consultant and so forth, putting all that together. Those got approved at planning board, came to annual town meeting last May, in terms of those changes and updates, and those got approved at town meeting in May. They can't take effect until the Attorney General approves them, and the Attorney General is still looking at these. I don't quite know all the issues.
But they got another 90-day extension.
They did, well, yeah, until the beginning of March is what we heard. So it's gonna be almost like a 10-month process rather than a 3-month process. There were some, general bylaws that were also approved at town meeting. Those got approved, but they also haven't, they're kind of wanting to do the whole package. And so they're still, I think there were so many zoning bylaws, it's just taking them forever. I don't know.
So that was probably one of the ones. that
I
was
don't remember what was
updated.
in there.
There was updates that were done to various zones in the town as part of this latest update that included the residential village and the commercial village areas of the town. So I know that there were changes that were made to make it more attractive.
Can you describe just briefly what the cluster bylaw is about, though? I mean, what is it? Is it a size of the lot? Is it putting
I think there were...
more open space next to houses? What is it
No, the
about?
cluster, I think there was discussion, as I remember, and I don't know if this falls directly with cluster under that categorization, but there was, I believe there was some discussion in there about two-family homes and multifamily homes as they would fall into these various zoning districts that we, or zoning areas we have.
So, I
So
mean,
that
yeah.
but that was part of that comprehensive update we did several, for the past 3 years, been working on that, I guess.
Well, hopefully we'll see them soon, certainly before our next meeting. We should have our hands on the actual approved zoning bylaws. But we know that there's been a lot of work done on the zoning bylaws. I just don't know what the final, language was of that until it gets finally approved by the AG. But the cluster bylaw, and then just jumping right on down, because that one really does go into the zoning bylaw and tying into housing more, which is just, maybe that's part of what you were just saying about the size of the residential village lots to better match.
And one of the other issues that we were running into with the cluster, and I gotta remember the definition exactly what that entails, but the problem is, once again, it's the utilities, right? Because when you start concentrating that much population, you don't have enough space for septic, right? I mean, when you start really utilizing smaller lots, you're not making the proper offsets and design considerations that you would have with septic.
Right, and depending on if you've got a smaller lot, and then depending on the quality of soil you've got, right? You've got to figure out if you've got enough space to even put in a proper septic system and leach field and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Hasn't there been some talk about putting in small water treatment plants, individual ones? Chris, wasn't there discussion of that with PVPC?
Yeah, a few years ago, 2-3 years ago, there was an idea about that, but nothing really developed
we had
with
a
it.
presentation,
Yeah, I think we had a presentation at select
Made it
board, but
very-
nothing really developed on it. I'm not sure how cost effective it is or how that
That's the
technology
key
is
there.
developed.
Yeah, and it's cost prohibitive, I would imagine. was
Yeah.
I think that was actually one of the long-term goals in the appendix, was
Okay.
to mention like that, considering that strategy of
Yeah.
the treatment plants or treatment options.
So that's a bit of a challenge, perhaps. So, yeah, so not sure about how anything might have gotten revised, though, in 1.2A there, about whether the residential village one, did change any size of the lots or anything. So,
What is that actually, I'm reading that, I'm trying to just make sense
Yep.
of it. So it's adjusting the dimensional standards for residential village zoning district to match the lot sizes of the existing historic homes, promote smaller, more affordable homes.
Right.
So what's happening in that village there, the way it's zoned now? Are they only zoned for large size
They must be
lots?
bigger lots, the way I'm reading that.
The village residential and the village commercial section, as it's identified, typically has smaller size dimension requirements, as in the rural residential or some of the other neighborhoods we have. And there were some modifications, as I recall, that have been made to those particular parcel sizes that would make it more attractive, but I don't think it was substantial, given the fact that it's, you still need a certain minimum to make it, with septic and whatnot, so.
But it was, so the lots of the existing historic homes would be bigger?
No, under future, well, they would be grandfathered in.
Right.
but-
That's what it is, okay.
Okay,
Right, but under future conditions, I mean, if there's a lot that wants to be subdivided and it's huge, then I think there's some leniency on what the future dimensions can be.
I see. In the effort to promote the availability or the possibility of building a more affordable residence, okay.
And if everything was to be square and we didn't have cow-pathed roads and
Yeah.
everything else, it's...
There's nothing too square in this town, that's for sure, in
Right.
terms of lots, yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
not that familiar with all of the zoning bylaws that
No.
went forward for revision in terms
Right.
of content. Were any of these things addressed in the revisions that were just passed by town meeting?
At the time, to the maximum extent possible, that could have been done at those
Okay.
at those
So there
times.
will be some progress.
There should be.
Yes.
I mean,
I think the
starting to
multi-family
integrate
one
that.
was definitely
Sorry,
updated.
didn't mean to-
Okay.
That rings a bell for me.
Okay.
Multifamily and accessory apartments was also
Yeah.
updated.
These couple.
Where's that one?
2D and 2E.
Modify multifamily housing
Okay.
requirements.
Yeah, so maybe, so just briefly on the definitions on 2B and 2C, so those are just some minor, I don't know if they're minor, I shouldn't say minor. There were some editorial changes, I guess, in terms of definition, right? In terms of definition of what elderly housing is, and then moving townhouse
Yeah.
from
It'd be nice to go
existing
through those,
multifamily.
that text and see if all these changes were made.
Townhouse or single family.
Yeah. Well, be curious to see, I guess, it's hard to understand these things personally in isolation when you're not familiar with how this all, works.
Goes together.
Is this for existing buildings, or is it for, like, things? in
Future.
Future building, okay.
Or existing buildings if they were to convert.
If they wanted to change something in
that-
it, or?
Yeah, or
Could
build
that
an
be?
accessory apartment.
Yeah, but they would have to go, I think that's a different animal. I think when we talk about these particular considerations, these strategies are focused on lots being modified and, subdividing something or making, someone's, let's say the Batista farm was closer to the center of town and they had tons of land that they sold off to somebody to make, some individual lots along East Street, then there would be some flexibility with new zoning requirements that could be applied to the future lots.
Well, as we see these things get approved by the Attorney General, we will have a better understanding of what actually got,
I would guess they looked at the master plan when doing that.
I would
What's
hope
his
so.
name?
I mean, the consultant was
Consultant guy.
hopefully working with us to do that, yeah. But you think the multifamily housing one and the accessory apartments one might have gotten done?
As I recall, there was much more flexibility with those.
And the accessory apartment one would be so is that in an existing, say, I've got a huge house. If I wanted to carve off part of that and make that an accessory, or make that an apartment, so it's got two separate entrances and whatever it would have to conform to, or is it allowing me to build another smaller thing on my property?
It's usually for connected accessories, right? So it usually requires like a breezeway or something that would connect to it, connecting the two.
So not necessarily a standalone.
Not necessarily. I think that was, as I recall, that was a big discussion, and as I loosely recall, I think we were warned not to potentially allow something that's separated because it's going to trigger different zoning issues.
It's gonna bring in Airbnbs.
Well, that's...
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
But it does include, I think, the concept of like over someone's garage having an apartment, right?
Exactly. That's what that means, yeah.
Like an in-law apartment, or?
Yeah.
Is that counts
As
as
long as it's
unattached?
connected, well, that's attached.
Okay. Even if, what if your garage is already a separate building? Maybe this is not worth discussing right now.
Yeah, but yeah, okay, but anyway, there's been obviously some work put into how to define this.
If a garage is a separate building, it's unlikely you have sewer in there, or
Right,
sewer
yeah,
connections.
Probably wouldn't have the,
Right, it's not so.
the requirements to meet building code to have it, if it's totally standalone and not,
Okay. that
not
makes
connected
sense.
to the house.
Yeah.
If it was a backyard garage or something.
And we did increase, I think there was some modification of what that could be in size. Because the old standards was quite limited to like 600 square feet, I think.
Wow.
And
That's a
huge.
tiny
It's like a
apartment.
bedroom.
Yeah,
Well, that's exactly right. And it was
Yeah.
updated to be bigger.
yeah. And I'm assuming an accessory apartment would have to have its own kitchen and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, yes, and so that's another discussion that we had in terms of what defines it and
Okay,
what the definition of one is, but that was certainly updated.
okay. All right, well, I guess we'll wait and see what it is. But your point about Airbnbs, do we have a B&B regulation, or
I thought that there was some select board action on that, wasn't there? A few,
not recently anyway, maybe earlier.
I'm
but-
just selling mine in Maine right now, so.
Well, how many do we have in town? One or two?
Airbnbs?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I have no idea.
down on that curve,
Where?
Gun Road. Is it Gun Road? You know, the one.
Where is it?
It's not that hard to get
No,
away with
no,
not
no.
reporting your Airbnb also.
Yeah.
It's off of 10.
Yeah.
If you go down the road near the Red Barn.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You guys
Heading
don't
south.
do taxes though. I mean,
Isn't
when,
there a
yeah,
big
when you book it, I mean, when
place
it-
there that I
like when
thought
our
was a
folks
B&B?
book.
Yeah, and your insurance,
Not
you
sure.
gotta know your insurance.
All right.
I don't
I think
know.
you are
I don't
separately
know.
supposed to let the town know
Yeah.
of your own accord, which people
Yeah.
don't necessarily do.
Oh, no, they don't.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's been many towns, like New Hampshire, they stopped it for, I think New York City just put a final stop to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because there's all kinds of things that come into it, like the people come in, the town is paying for trash and paying for all these costs.
Well, it's the hotel industry fighting against it because they're losing on revenue.
Yeah.
So that's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does have
Let's not,
costs.
No,
let's
the
not,
town- the town has,
let's not forget that animal.
Some of these
Yeah.
places have,
Someone's
the
losing
party
money, that's why they're
places
mad.
coming in,
Right.
and they produce a lot of garbage and a
Right,
lot
yeah.
of,
Well, and you've probably got the situation too with your neighbors who, have no clue who's, I mean, they like
Right.
the stability of the neighborhood, shall we say, and you
Yeah.
want to kind of know what's going on next door. And if you've got people coming in and out every 2 days, that can be an issue, I would assume,
Yeah.
so.
Yes.
One of the strictest places in the country is Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
And they have a local ordinance that prohibits any Airbnb, and there's fines that they
Wow.
institute, and it's because all the
Oh, the
hotels
hotels
are
are-
Yeah,
pissed.
the
Sure,
hotels.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
The strongest hotel industry there.
Of course, they want their money, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. yeah.
Although it is also, Airbnb also does leave, like, it takes away houses that could be used for people who need housing. It's like there's a massive
it's like
housing
in
crisis across the
Portland, Maine
country.
is shut down.
Things are just like
There's no
empty.
houses for anybody.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
rentals. They've lost like workers and restaurants and stuff. It's changed like cities
Really?
dramatically, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So easy for
Right, we'll
this
keep
kind
on-
of conversation to
Yeah, no, we'll
take
keep
a lot
on
of
trucking
Yeah.
here, but yeah.
direction.
Okay, last one is here, maybe toward you on
Okay.
13A, housing on the Housing Authority webpage. Well, we do have a webpage now for the Housing Authority.
We have a
so-
webpage, and there is a link that says if you're interested in affordable housing, click this Wayfinders link, and as more materials become existent, we'll update them.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Partnerships with town committees, I think that's already at least happening. I mean, it's certainly housing and
Oh, yeah.
planning board are talking more and more than, in recent years.
Yeah, and we've been talking to
Which is
Wayfinders,
great.
we've been talking to
Right.
Habitat, so
Yeah.
that's a win.
Good, all right. One for a suitable property for development of affordable housing. So there's a big movement on that, right? You all convinced us to purchase some property on Route 10?
We did. And we looked at a lot of the town-owned empty lots, and we kind of determined that none of them were really ideal for affordable housing. Some of them might be possible. And we're always having our eyes open to other things that are for sale and all of that.
Yeah, so the one on Route 10 is kind of right across from the golf course a little bit,
Yeah.
on the right-hand side. And it's been purchased and not yet developed, but that's one you've been talking about with Wayfinders to,
Yes, we're
Possibly
putting together the RFP and sort of gathering a little more due diligence on the property so we can create a good RFP. Like, it needs to be resurveyed. I talked to a septic person about those possibilities and all of that, so we're sort of in the process of getting that RFP done.
so then somebody like Wayfinders would be similar, are they like I think they're similar to a Habitat for Humanity kind of group? I mean,
So Wayfinder said it was too small a property for them to bid on, but Habitat said they are conditionally interested depending on how the other information
okay,
pans out.
good. Remember how big the property was on that? I don't remember. Curious.
I do not, but it is not that large, but it's big enough for one unit,
Yeah.
basically, so.
I mean, so that would be a start if we could ever do something.
Something, and it would be for ownership, which is really rare and hard to find,
Yeah.
so.
Would that be one house?
One house,
One house,
yes.
yeah.
And, people laugh at me when I tell them we got one house, enough for one house. But if you think about the fact that we're only at like 2% of the 10% affordable housing we're supposed to have, like,
Right.
all we can do is keep working
Yeah.
up towards that. you
Yeah,
know?
Yeah, it's
I'd be surprised if we're even at 2%, frankly, but if
Yeah.
you say so.
Yeah, it's like 1.6.
Yeah, I mean,
The more people keep building more
I mean, the
houses
state,
that aren't affordable.
the
so
state requires theoretically that we should be at a 10%
requires, right.
affordable housing rate in town, and we're far, far from that, so, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay. Utilize CPC funds, so we know we have CPC funds that comes in every every year through the surcharge on our taxes plus a match from the state.
Yep.
So there are funds available, and I believe some of that was what was used to purchase that property.
Yes.
So,
And we haven't had much luck with the existing single-family homes to convert. We haven't seen a lot of those opportunities, but would love them if they came along.
okay, yeah, okay.
CDBG, you know as well as I do how it's hard to get that in this town.
Yeah, this is a real tough grant.
Where is it?
No, well, 4E, this
4E.
Community Development Block Grant Housing. I feel it's like more appropriate for urban areas than
Where I work in
us.
Springfield, we
It's
get
income-based.
CDBG grants very easily.
Yeah,
but-
it's income based, yeah. Southampton is weird enough, in spite of our rural character, we don't fit neatly in some of the categories that a lot of these state and certainly federal grant programs look for, which is environmental justice, okay? We don't have a minority population. We don't have, a wealth, an income base here is higher than others. And so we kind of fit in the middle. We're not big enough. So some grants are by population size, others are by income level, all sorts of, characteristics. And we just are we just kind of fall right in a little funnel in the middle, and it's very hard for us to fit in some of these grants, and that's a real challenge one. So that's probably not one that we would go for right away. I don't think. I've looked into it from the grant committee.
I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze on that one.
Yeah, I've looked into. Yeah, thank you. I remember you were saying that. I looked into that from the grant perspective, and it was just like, I don't think we're going to touch that one right away.
Yeah.
So let me hop down real quick to chapter 5 and remember what that was all about here. Mobility. Impact of future growth along Route 10 corridor by developing an access management plan. Guess I'm not totally sure what an access management plan is.
That means reduce the number of driveways.
Reduce them. Okay.
So you make a road so they can be off the side road instead of off Route 10?
Well, they don't want too much of a density of driveways in one area, but I'm not sure how that, what the origin of that comment is. Because was someone thinking about the north part of town?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have a driveway every 50 feet where the car wash is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, that's not really, that's a tricky one, because that's also a DOT action as well, because whenever a driveway goes in or any modification, they need a highway access permit. But they're not going to get a highway access permit unless there's a local action granted for redevelopment of a site. So we do have some say, however, it's also ultimately up to the state.
Right. Well, tying in there with 51B, and Chris, join in on this, so work with Mass DOT and property owners to request easements for turn lanes and shoulders and all that kind of stuff. So part of this that we were talking about on the Zero College Highway, where we had that joint meeting last week about possibly acquiring that property for all sorts of uses, that has got an idea right now of a possible roadway going into the main property. But if we were to put the public safety complex there, for example, we've already talked to DOT about having a separate access, separate driveway from Route 10 into the complex too. So it's kind of those kinds of things, I assume, and that would be one prime property right across from Cumberland's that would be, probably wouldn't have more than 2 entrances, I wouldn't think, but I mean, DOT in general, we had talked to them about how far apart do we have to have a curb cut and all those kinds of things, and so I don't know where that's going to go, but that would be an area that probably this would apply to, I suppose. Chris, any thought on that? I don't know.
Well, let's see, I'm just trying to think. DOT suggested that as long as there was 100 feet between drives, or I'm trying to think whether it was the access road to that potential development, or whether, and then the public safety driveway, as long as it was 100 feet, that was sufficient.
Yeah, it had to be at least 100 feet, right? And I think where the driveway would be for the public safety complex, for example, I think that might have to be 100 feet from, this would be like on the southernmost part of the property, so it would be between there and, is it Lynn Drive, I think? So Lynn Drive is like that next housing area there, right, directly almost across from Cumbies.
Between roads though, but then
Right.
there's the Strawberry Manor driveway.
Strawberry Manor driveway too, yeah. So, yeah, it's complicated. But anyway, just to say that this probably would apply to that part of town right now that's somewhat under consideration. So, for what it's worth, something that we'll be looking at, I guess. So, just to get a sense of where we are with some of this. Bicycle network. Well, we're certainly working on bicycles. I don't know about bicycle racks. There's a few at the school. There's not a lot, I don't think. I don't know if there's any. I don't believe there's any at Town Hall.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think there's any at the library.
We were looking at that on the Parks Commission. There's, I don't remember what it's called, but it's, they can get things from, and I'm probably not going to say this right, but the prisoners
Oh, yeah.
make.
Mass Corps.
Yeah, that's what it is. So you can get, like, things like bicycle racks, and we were talking about, like, possibly getting some of those for park areas and things.
Yeah,
So
that'd be interesting. Yeah, the Department of, Massachusetts Department of Corrections. So
Yeah.
we can get some good deals on those kinds of things. They sell them to municipalities in particular. But yeah, so that's one too. I think there definitely are bike racks up at Norris, but not a lot of them, I don't recall. There's some.
I think
but
there too.
yeah, so that's ongoing as it says here, so that's.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What happened to 5-2? Was there one?
Maybe it was done. I'd have to go back into the original.
All right, okay,
Or maybe it's a long-term one.
all right.
It's probably a
fine.
long-term one.
Okay.
It was probably in the appendix, if it's not here.
It may have been weeded out from the original.
That too.
Okay.
We might
All
have
right,
decided
thanks.
it was not relevant anymore
Thank
when the
you.
update was done. So it's either that or
Yeah.
or it's in the appendix.
Okay.
Yeah, good, good question. All right. Mitigating traffic. So local policy on traffic calming on roads that have higher travel speeds. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, we have 2 portable speed signs in town that the police put out periodically. I know we get one on Gun Road periodically. We get one over toward Line Street area. There's areas that are known to be pretty good speeding zones, and the police periodically, especially in the summer months, put them out. I don't know that there's been any other, I'm not aware of any other discussion about, like speed humps and all those kinds of things that you find in other communities offhand. I don't know. I haven't heard of anything. I mean, I think that's what the traffic calming idea would be, right? Would be to,
Well, typically you need to have some kind of a study to warrant a,
traffic
I think
studies.
Pomeroy Meadow would be a good area.
Yeah, around the school.
Well, there had been some study at one point, I think, and actually we do collect some data right at Palmer Meadow, and actually there's going to be some new, by the school, there's going to be some new beacons put out this spring through the state, through Mass DOT, but also through Safe Routes to School program, I think it was, infrastructure program. We got 2 of those new beacons with a speed sign on them that will replace the old 2 that are there. So there's one as you approach Norris from Route 10, and there's one coming kind of right at Gun Road Extension in Norris, right there. And so as you're driving through, your speed kind of flashes at you, especially during school time session. They're both very outdated, but these actually collect data and kind of report, average speeds and so forth, so the police will be able to do a better idea of what speed limits are. But we've actually received the monsters, but they're sitting in the highway garage until springtime to get them installed. So that would be something that would happen. But otherwise, go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
I was just saying, it used to be that cruisers used to sit in various locations on Prime Meadow and then right at the corner of East Street and Which Highway. They used to be patrolled, but that's not true anymore.
They're there occasionally.
Yeah.
They're sometimes they sit, because it's only because my kitchen sink overlooks it, but they sit sometimes like at the ambulance place there, the police on Route 10.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're out in the morning for school arrival, sometimes at dismissal. Seems like at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Change of seasons maybe, but not regularly.
Yeah.
And,
They definitely hang out in the Conant Park.
Conant Park
by
too,
Park Street,
yeah.
near my
Yep.
house.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And some at the old library. There's a couple places where you, all of a sudden they're, and up at, actually Polish National Credit Union, I've seen them lately too. So they have a way to sort of appear at places. But yeah, there's usually 2 cruisers out, patrolling, most of the day. But I mean, I don't know that they have set places where they stand by and watch for traffic.
I think Pomeroy Meadow is, well, where my accident, I lived that accident, but the intersection of Glendale and Pomeroy Meadow is terrible. I know they have the flashing lights there, the flashing stop signs, but I feel like people that come down Glendale, they just don't stop. Like they just want to keep coming out onto Pomeroy. Like I literally stopped there now after I got creamed there last year, and a lady full steam 50 miles an hour came down Glendale and hit us head on.
Wow.
And then the one where the boy just died, that intersection is bad too, because you have to creep out and look, and for some reason those cars coming from the left.
Yeah, that's Glendale
Up over the
Street.
hill, you can't see them.
That's
It's
Southampton.
short.
It's just like they come, all of us, they're there, they're not there, you look, and then you look back, and then they're there.
Yeah.
It's a sight line issue there.
That's right.
It's terrible.
East Hampton line there, exactly. Yeah.
Those 2 spots, I feel like are...
they're challenging for sure.
Well, one is in East Hampton, the Glendale.
Yeah, that one's East Hampton, but the one we got hit at, it was...
Southampton.
Southampton, yeah. But I think in general, just if you've seen the news, Paul's right in terms of having to do traffic studies and whatever else. DOT has just changed the speed limit in East Hampton, going from West Street to, what did I read it? West Street to
city
Abishon?
line.
Or to, sorry?
That was to the city line.
To the city line, to Northampton city line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, the speed limit has gone down to 35 or 30, kind of from West Street to Florence Road, and then Florence Road to Abishon, and then up to the Northampton
someone
city line.
mowed down
So something
people in
just
broad
happened. Well, 2
daylight.
people were killed last year, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Pedestrians.
that's what happens, yeah. So but that was a result, I'm sure, of some traffic studies, let alone they've got this giant development coming in.
Well, I was going to say, there's a lot more things going
behind
on
the new
over there
Starbucks
now.
there, where this is gonna challenge.
And they
so.
just did all that sidewalk and
Yeah.
all that other, they've been working over there forever.
Yeah. So I think if there are things to be done, then we would probably have to have at least some data, which, if the police is not already collecting, that would have to justify any other kind of work on that speed issue. Parking on municipally owned parking for uses, park and ride lots. I mean, does anybody park and ride around here?
Maybe they would if there wasn't parking.
They might with the bike path.
Well,
You might get commuters that are
Maybe.
gonna
Ride
park their
halfway.
car and,
maybe.
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, it hasn't been an issue just because we don't have public transport. I mean, you think about it, people coming to a central location,
carpooling.
carpooling
something,
or, getting on a bus or something to go to Northampton, and that doesn't really exist, right? Or to go to
Right.
Westfield or whatever, so.
We're not really a central location for anything either,
I know.
not for East Hampton.
Yeah.
Maybe Westfield to Northampton, maybe, but.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we can leave it on there as an ongoing thing, because I think you're right, with the bike path, maybe that would attract something, you never know. But right now, it's not been I mean, I don't know why that's even a sort of a short-term goal in a way, because it's kind of out in the ether here, but anyway. Reliable friendly transportation system, local pavement management system. I mean, I know highway department, they get a certain amount of federal, state aid rather, every year, which is somewhere in the, I want to say it's only $300,000 to $400,000 a year. Which doesn't get us too much paving. I mean, they do their best to, prioritize which roads have to get, an overlay done, or some that, I mean, the massive one that was done was that other part of Glendale Road toward Route 10. That part got done a few years ago, but that was a major investment. So I know Randall has a limited budget to work with, but
That increased the speed too.
they do what they do, huh? I'm sorry?
The speed really went up once
I was
they
gonna say,
made
that
those
was the
improvements.
calming, that was the traffic calming.
Yeah.
They took it away.
Wild. No,
That's what I
not
said on
worth
East
it.
Street, when they did it, when they just put the slab on East Street about a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
They redid that definitely
Slowed everybody down for a while.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Maintenance program, I'm not sure on this, again, something that probably between highway and DOT, I'm not sure about the sign retro reflectivity.
Minimums.
Again, a little bit of that might tie into these 2 beacon things I'm talking about that'll be up on Pomeroy Meadow Road this spring. Maybe that's something like that. Roadside vegetation, I know that they do get out with their brush mower and do mowing on the sides of the road pretty regularly, as long as the mower's not broken down, tends to go through. So that's kind of an ongoing thing. Just jump down quick to section 8 and see what we got here for anything quickly here. Streetscape improvements in the planning focus. So the focus areas, okay. So those were the 4 planning focus areas I talked about. So streetscape, okay. I'm not sure what a streetscape improvement is, but
Well, it's beautification.
beautification. Okay.
Where are you? Where are you?
81A. 81A. So streetscape improvements in the planning focus areas along College Highway.
Oh, I see.
So the
Okay.
planning focus areas were the 4 that I had talked to you a minute ago.
You gotta hire a landscape architect.
Yeah.
Like, of all the priorities we need to spend money on, like, there's some more important
You first need sidewalks to make
Yeah, right?
streetscape happen.
Yeah, there's nothing,
Doesn't mean you can't do it when you're doing that, but
Sure,
it's- when you start putting sidewalks in, it's a relatively small add-on.
You know, they're expecting volunteer time here, so.
yeah. Well, and so right now, for example, the flowers that are over at Conant Park on the split rail, that's all volunteer by the new Good Earth Gardeners, of which I'm a member. So there's one.
Here we
So
go. Check.
that's
So
one thing that's
who
happening.
was doing the little monument in front of our house?
That was Mr. Sayre, who had just passed away, unfortunately. There was an individual, a gentleman, who's been
Oh, the
doing
guy
it
with
for
the
years.
little truck that would come with the
Yeah,
water cans.
he's been doing it forever,
Aw.
but he just passed away, actually, last few weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Last month, maybe?
Gotta do
Yep.
it in his honor.
Well, I went over there and weeded
Yeah.
this year because
Yeah.
of the year before they came in and they put
Yeah.
all new plantings. Like it looked like a florist kind of person or somebody that knew
Yeah.
what they were
Yeah.
doing. So I didn't know if it was the Lions Club or was he?
No,
was
I don't
he
think so.
involved
Chris,
in?
you know them, Mr. Sayre, who, down on the Westfield line?
I don't know in what capacity he did that. Maybe he was a veteran and just.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh,
Not sure, but he would,
Yeah.
they had a sort of a plant farm, right? A plant and vegetable farm.
Oh, yes.
Right
Yes.
down as you go to Westfield, so right almost a little bit before you get to 7Bs on the
Yeah.
left.
Oh, okay.
That was their property there, and the gentleman came and took care of that little triangle right
Oh,
across the
okay,
street.
maybe that's where they bought the plants from, because
Yeah, I'm sure.
they
I'm sure.
were really nice, but last year
Yeah.
and was he getting
He
sick or
might have.
something? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that could have been why, but yeah.
Oh.
So anyway,
Oh,
but yeah, there are
sure then.
always some possibilities for streetscape improvements as we move along. But anyway, so this chapter 40R, so
Here's
we
the
just talked about
40R,
that. There it
yeah.
is.
There's a lot of repetition in this, which is kind of nice because you're like, oh, good, there's less than we thought.
It's all over the place, yeah. But anyway, so we've at least talked about that a bit. Yeah, okay. So again, Francine, 8.2 is probably missing in the
Yeah.
report. Pedestrian connections that link open space and planned open space.
That's happening.
Well, we're sort of getting
That's
there.
what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of these seem to
We made,
Fall
some
under multiple
overlap or
categories.
some
Yeah,
progress,
and
yeah.
same
I mean,
with the
and-
long-term ones, there's a lot of repetition
Right.
with the short-term ones.
And I think that's something that could be highly promoted or suggested by the planning board when these projects go in. Like, for example, at Zero South or Zero College
College
Highway
Highway.
there, it would make all the sense in the world for them to connect the shared use path that ends at Cumberland Farms to the new rail trail,
Yep.
right? I mean,
Yep.
just it's a
And
natural
it's, the
fit.
rail trail's supposed to go right behind that.
Yeah.
Area, right?
Well, exactly,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
from a planning board aspect, that's something that should be highly encouraged.
Yeah.
For these types of projects to be approved.
Yeah, because you've got the shared use pass on the Cumbie side, but you've got the crosswalks already there, right? So you could cross right over
Exactly.
somewhat safely and get over to where the
Right.
rail trail is. And I think the challenge is at the end of that property. My understanding, from what little I know about it, is that property drops off down to the rail trail. So there would have to be some trails. Parks and Concom, some trails maybe from the end of that property down to the actual rail trail, because I think it's a pretty steep drop off there. But I mean, nonetheless, I think those are things that could be considered for sure. Yeah. 3C, so pedestrian connections from community facilities such as the school, library, town hall, to major residential developments and commercial businesses. I think we're getting there. The most recent thing that had been done in the last couple of years has been that the sidewalk in front of the cemetery, and that was done with a grant to put in that. So that's become a major safer walking and biking. It's used quite a lot, and to get up to Norris School and beyond. So I think we're making
for
headway.
cycling too, because I take it, if I come up Pomeroy, I'll jump on that and then I'll go up, take the right by
Go up Maple Street.
Yeah, just so you're not taking that.
I know.
The trailer trucks are flying through.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it does take it to a
Right.
safer.
And there's probably there's a little bit of sidewalk from here on down to the old to the old library, and a bit down. I don't know if it goes all the way down to Clark Chapman. Not quite all the way. So it doesn't really connect totally with Conant Park yet, but that would be another thing. And I think that's the challenge there, is there's some wetlands or something there on that left side beyond the Heritage Library, to go down that left side of Route 10, maybe to Conant Park where the fountain is.
Oh, is that why it doesn't
Where the
connect?
fountain is?
Yeah.
There's a back gate that goes into Conant Park there.
Yeah. You walk the dog there all the time.
But I think
Yeah.
that's right there. I think there's a it's a, I don't know if it's a, maybe an intermittent stream. I'm not sure it's a permanent stream, but that there's something there that is kind of a challenge. I think that, I don't know whether a sidewalk could be put in there, but it would, something to be thought about. But again, so much of this has got to be in collaboration with DOT and whatever we can do. It's not town property, obviously.
And honestly, anything you can do to, get more sidewalks in town.
Mhm.
I think I mentioned to people actually park at the post office so
Yeah.
that they could walk Pomeroy Meadow.
Right.
They
Yeah.
come from other
Just for
places.
some, just for some exercise.
Because that's one of the few
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
sidewalks.
Yep, exactly. Yep, and then the last couple here, consider appropriating town funds to hire planning staff or contract planning staff to help the town achieve this. So I think we've had a consultant working with the planning board for over a year now, I think, and I know there had been some money put aside for that from the ARPA funds, which will run out at some point. So as we're putting budgets forth, I'm assuming Paul's gonna put something in the budget for planning board to say, can we hire somebody? Or I think what we would end up, having to think about would be a shared somebody. So whether, it would be a shared plan, Concom person, or some shared somebody, because one whole person might be a bit steep when we've got different needs, but it's definitely something, or at least to continue with your consultants. I don't know whichever works better, but you've at least had somebody to help out, especially on the zoning bylaw stuff. I don't know if that's going to continue or not, but that's been a long-standing issue in terms of personnel, just with all of our volunteer boards and committees and commissions. I mean, we all try to learn as much as we can, but you've got at least the engineering background that, and a lot of, I guess, actually a lot of people on the planning board do now, right? So that's even a bigger advantage, but nonetheless, there's a lot to keep track of, for sure. Inconsistencies with the assessor's office land use coding methodology. I have no idea. That's one we could bring to the assessors and find out. I know they're in a little bit of an upheaval right now, just trying to get staffing as well. So once we get the office a little bit more settled, we might touch base on that one. I'm not sure totally exactly what that refers to.
I'm sure there was a complaint.
It must have been something, or something, related to.
Record keeping.
Just
the way-
confusion
I was just
in
gonna-
general.
Where they keep track of something?
And better track development and preservation trends. So, they do keep track, I'm sure, of what's been allocated as open space or agricultural or chapter lands and all of that. So I'm not totally sure, again. So some of these, it's a little hard to know without really digging into that old report, which might be something at some point, but not tonight. And then establish annual reporting requirements for the planning board, such as the number of A&Rs approved subdivisions, to include these in the town report. I assume there must be something that every committee, every department has to write up something, which if you haven't got your notice, you should, for the annual town report, which is due into Judy, I think by March 1st or something like that. Just write up your narratives. It's usually a page or something of, what have you accomplished for the year and whatever. So maybe if you could put that in Paul's ear, that we can add some numerical things into the details of that report, that would maybe be helpful. So that's kind of this, where we are on this one. You just take 5 minutes. I'm just gonna, if I can pull up the, if it's still even here. It may not. I may have lost it completely now. Where did that another one go? Where'd it go? I probably lost it. I had the appendix a minute ago. Where'd it go?
Oh, what if you go back to the same one you were on and it was just another tab on there if it wasn't closed? If you go to the, like, one on the left there, Southampton MP, that thing. If you open that,
Is it a-
yes, and then you hit the tab.
You
There
are
you go.
so good. Thank you very much.
Resident tech support.
Hey,
You are, yes.
you get an extra fee for tonight.
It's gonna be this.
Oh, here's a simple one. Okay, housing's only got 1 or 2 things. Here we go. Okay, I mean, maybe we can just take a quick look. We're going to be out of here by 8:30, guys. So promise. Make this bigger here. So, oops, here. Okay. Support creation of a local trust, land trust, to assist with acquiring land for future affordable housing, and establish a housing trust fund.
So we did establish a housing trust fund. Still waiting for Chris to appoint some people on the trust. And we have not moved on creating a local land trust. I don't have a super clear understanding of why, if we're gonna still need that once we have the housing trust.
Yeah.
It does do slightly different things, but it hasn't really been a major priority for us.
Yeah, okay. And, yeah, we did establish a bylaw on affordable housing that came through about 1.5 years, 2 years ago maybe.
Affordable housing trust, yes.
Affordable Housing Trust, and then from that is an actual trust fund manager group. So we don't have that in place yet. We've been advertising for it, but we need to advertise more strongly and find the right people that should be part of that. If I have a second, I'll show you that in a minute. So we'll just skip over and just see what's down here, just out of curiosity, and see if we can find Francine's missing ones here. 5 mobility, 51C, was that it? I don't know.
No, it was 5.2.
No.
5.2.
There it is.
Okay, so one here, let's see, 51C though, reviews of bylaws, appropriate regulations in place to require site plan review and traffic impact studies for future development. Again, that may be something more related, I don't know if it's not a zoning thing, but it may just be the process of site reviews and
Yeah,
approving new housing and stuff, right?
that was accomplished.
Yeah, okay. So can you, I don't know if you know, if you could walk us through just briefly, if somebody wants to build something, a house, okay, they've got to go through a whole series of a checklist, right, with the building commissioner and so forth. It gets signed off on by planning, by Concom, I'm assuming?
Various departments, yeah.
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 And is that all still paper or is it automated now?
I still think it's paper.
Paper, yeah, okay, so that's one thing I think we were trying to figure out how that system would connect so that we could all tie in
And header.
The building inspector is the quarterback with that, so I
Okay,
think.
so that's the first stop. If anybody wanted to know how to do anything in town,
Yeah.
they'd start with the building inspector, and then
Yeah.
at certain points, it has to come before planning board, and then it goes on to other.
Right, and I believe it's his job to make sure it meets all the regulations and
Right.
things of that sort.
Is it planning board that has the final sort of sign off though, before?
No, I don't think it's
construction?
any particular order. I think
Okay.
it's, yeah.
But you would look at the site plan, though, you'd be having eyes on that probably?
Yeah, so typically if there's a disturbance of X amount of feet, say 40,000 square feet, that's when we perk up and start looking at the stormwater impacts that any lot might have, regardless if it's a single unit or
Okay,
if it's a commercial lot.
okay.
But yes, we go through it.
All right. Okay, so Francine, construct comprehensive sidewalk system. So that was part of that notion. And I guess one of the things I actually do want to grab Paul's brain on, Complete Streets program. You had come to select board probably a year ago, starting to
Right.
mention Complete Streets program. Where does that stand? And tell us a little bit about what that would do if we were to adopt something like that, or is it still in
Yeah, it's still,
talking stages, or?
still there from the state side. So there's funds there, and the deadline, I believe it's September 1st for the submission of
for
it.
some grant monies, or?
Yeah, for an application to be submitted. The community needs to first establish a policy that promotes complete streets.
Okay.
I know there were some concerns with Randall and others in town that were hesitant to want to go down because they thought they had all these strings attached, particularly with where Chapter 90 funds would be used.
Or to the highway state funds.
As opposed to, having resurfacing roads, and then if you put sidewalks, that really takes away from the resurfacing potential.
So complete streets is like bike lanes and sidewalks type thing?
Yeah, what does that actually mean? Is it like
So-
a bike lane in the road?
Correct. So it could be either establishing a policy that says that any project that comes through town, any subdivision, let's say, or any let's say residential subdivision comes through, you would require certain amount of roadway width to accommodate a bike lane, or excuse me, bike lane with a sidewalk. If you can't do both, then sometimes you can do a shared use path that could accomplish that. So basically establishing a policy that is approved by the select board.
That's what they did to the new portion of Glendale Road. It's like every 30 feet, they have a symbol, bike symbol.
Yeah, that's a shared lane there. But yeah,
That's what they call a sharrow. I think.
Sharrow, yes.
Yeah, that's all these weird terminologies, yeah. So you're not, it's not a dedicated
Right, it's shared.
bike path, yeah,
But
depending on the width of the road, yeah.
yeah, so
So the complete streets though is just doing more of that. I mean, just trying to.
Correct.
I mean, would it impact existing roadways, or this would really?
Yes,
be-
yes,
Oh, good,
yes.
okay.
So, well, what you would do is, so there's 3 tiers, right? The first tier is the policy, right? You establish a policy that would be signed off by the select board.
Okay.
Second tier is the development of a prioritization plan that would identify spots in town that you would want to upgrade. And typically, those would be town-owned facilities. So for example, let's say you want to have a sidewalk on Fulmer from whatever to whatever street. You would identify that on the list and give it a ranking in terms of where it falls on the priority versus having something on, Moosehead, or having something on other parts of town. It doesn't always, I mean, it doesn't only include sidewalks. It could be bike lanes, it could be, RFBs, the rapid flashing beacons that you would actuate and flash that someone's crossing the street. So it'd be used on that. And
how do those get identified? Does that require some massive study by some consultant?
So-
Is that a planning board? How does that happen?
you need, usually what happens under tier 2, so tier 2 is a prioritization, tier 3 is a construction.
Okay.
So under the tier 2, I don't know if this is the case still right now, but the state was offering technical support technical support dollars for development of that. I think that might have been like I forget what the numbers, but let's say it was 30,000 or something like that for you to develop that prioritization plan, which could be either done by a consultant or PVPC, I think.
Okay. All right, interesting. The policy, though, would be developed by planning board and approved by select board, or who gets involved in the policy of saying?
It's the select board can do it. I mean, you can recycle and use other communities. It's fixed.
I'll look into that one, okay. Yeah, that I have not.
I mean, everyone's done one. Not everyone, but a lot of communities have done it.
And the major advantage would be?
So you get state funds, right?
Yeah.
So I know that typically it's the magic number's always been around $300,000 you would get for sidewalk work. Given that we've never asked for it, that would make us look favorable, given that we've established it from the state. The other consideration is one of my clients, I think it was like Salem, they got like $500,000 last year, and they had a project that they were funding themselves with municipal funds that they were running short on, that was just nothing but a complete streets project. This one neighborhood of town, of the city, that they needed another like $500,000, and the state gave them from the complete street funds to supplement their,
What they'd already done.
what they were already had allocated.
Let's say that's something that I think we might want to work on. Maybe that's a project for the year in terms of something that we can hang our hats on a little bit.
If I could make a recommendation, I mean, we should probably reach out to PVPC, and that's something that they've done for other neighboring communities, and
Yeah.
they can recycle.
Yeah,
They can recycle those.
They do that a lot.
yeah.
Yeah,
Would that be Ken, maybe? Ken Camilla? Or
Whoever we talk to there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So.
he's kind of the planner, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, but yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's something they could certainly
Yeah,
develop.
okay. Well, let's work on that together, because I think that's something we could
Yeah,
make happen.
and they might actually already have. And I don't know about this next statement I'm going to make, so I'm not sure if this is accurate. So, I don't know if they already have an allotment of funds to provide technical assistance.
They have what's called the DLTA,
DLTA, yeah.
which is that, is it District Local Technical Assistance or
Yeah.
whatever? And we've used it for various things in town. It's short-term. In fact, that's how we
Great.
had, actually Ken's the one that helped us do the update for the master plan.
So there you have it. Yeah.
So it's like a $20,000,
Yeah.
per project kind of thing. I know it was used for the historical, Christina, right, on the canal project.
Yep, use it for housing production plan.
Yeah, so the
But that's on an annual
DLTA.
basis, right?
So we,
Yeah, I think it comes
yeah.
out in the spring, honestly.
Yeah,
Maybe around now.
it should be coming up pretty soon, I would think, if they haven't already, although they may have already issued it. I don't know. We can check on that. I can talk out to somebody out there too, and find out. But okay, let's
Good idea.
put that one kind of higher up on the list instead of so long-term away. The other one that was there was promoting the bike path. I think I just turned that past there. Did I escape that? I just went too fast.
I was just looking as a point of reference, long-term from, what was the start date? 2018
No, this is
Just wanna see how
2013,
far we
or
are.
20,
on this?
Well, the original plan
2013.
was done in 13, and then,
Right.
Chris, I think there was an update, wasn't there, again, like in 15 or something, maybe?
Oh.
No, I don't think so. I think
No?
there was the original and then the work that the report, the implementation report that we did in
That we did.
21.
Okay, nothing in between. Okay.
I am not aware. I went off the committee after it was published in 2013. I am not aware of a revision.
Okay, okay. So
But I
this,
don't.
so we're somewhere in that 10-year period, we're at the end of the 10 years
Okay.
anyway, yeah, easily, so, yeah. So, okay, well. And just lastly on this one is the Advance to Southampton Greenway, so that's actually moving quite along. Had a great community meeting back in November, big attendance. Ty and Bond is working very diligently on the design, engineering, and permitting on that, and we've already received 3 Mass Trails grants for that, one to acquire the railroad right-of-way, as well as 2 toward design and engineering, and like I said, an application just went in yesterday for another 100,000 or so to finish off that design and engineering part, which hopefully will be finished by, I'd say, another year and a half-ish to finish the design part.
moving right along.
So we're still, probably 26 maybe-ish. I forget when, but that's on the tip list now too. It's DOT, they put money aside down in Boston. That had been originally at like 6 million. The net price has already gone up they've revised, given us a new project number on the list down there for that. And I think it's, the price tag has gone up quite a bit, obviously, since the first one.
That never happens.
It never happened, exactly.
It's really happening these days with everything.
So anyway, so then this was just some of the same stuff. So update the cluster zoning down here, guidelines.
15 million.
15 million, 6 to 15. Wow.
Wow.
Double.
Easily, yep. Amazing. I don't know what
And it's not going to stop there, I can assure you that.
I bet it won't, yeah. So interesting here on 8.1B, as we're talking about Zero College Highway, adopt more flexible dimension standards in the area along College Highway between Pomeroy and Gun Road, which is this, to encourage creative site design and foster a vibrant mixed-use district.
What do you know?
There we go. This could involve new zoning district for the area. Huh.
Exciting.
Well, hey, we might have to keep that one in our back pocket as we talk about this property, right? Cluster zoning, so some of these may be updated already with the new bylaws that we'll find out. We've already got some ag preservation districts, I think. I don't know if that was in anything more on the zoning bylaw here on 8.2B.
More about the lot sizes for rural residential.
Revising minimum lot sizes in the rural residential from 60,000 to 87,120 to 2 acres.
So, yeah, that might be conflicting with other goals that were identified previously.
Cluster housing.
Yeah, right. So, townwide mobility map. Well, as we start getting things done, that would be an interesting thing to have.
Fun.
That would be something nice to have. Sorry, I skipped one here. Revising updating the town's existing sign bylaw. I don't know that needed any revision, but I mean, it's got some parameters on it now in terms of height and.
I think it was outdated with a lot of stuff on
so maybe
there.
it's been updated already, yeah.
Does that cover the guy with the flags I keep reading about? The signs, is that what?
No, it's like when,
Signs?
you know, like when
Commercial signs or...
commercial signs, so like when Cooley Dick moved in and put in their urgent care, it can only be a certain height and certain, you know.
Well, I always see all this stuff about that guy, somebody doing something in the lot down there,
By,
across from Big Y.
There's
Oh, that guy.
Flags or
rental
something.
place.
Oh, that guy.
People are
Yes,
like
the-
complaining about this,
Yeah,
like
signs.
he's not
yes, he did-
following the
yes,
bylaws or something.
correct, that's true. The guy that's trying to do a used car place there.
Is there a used car, is there cars?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No,
I thought it was a rental place.
one of the other.
Whatever,
or
when it's a couple
might
of
be,
cars.
But yeah, there's signs there that have
Yeah,
been the
so
subject
somebody
of
put
discussion
down his
because they
flags or
do not
something.
pass the zoning, or we don't meet our bylaw, so that's been an issue. I know the building commissioners had a few discussions with him, so most of them have been.
What do they do in that case, like if you're not following, if somebody wasn't following the guidelines and the bylaws?
Got to do some enforcement on it, so it's going to be fines, it's going to be, could be legal action, could be anything, yeah.
Run down there and rip those signs down.
You know? Anyway, so that's kind of where we are, guys, so I don't want to keep on
Send my
this.
docs now.
Just kind of gives us the run view here, but, so, anyway, I don't know how helpful that was, but it was good just to kind of talk through that kind of thing and just see what we're working on here. We probably,
Once we get
progress in the last
the
couple
zoning
years.
Yeah, I think-
bylaws, I think.
that can help us.
Cross-reference.
Yeah, that can help us really kind
update
of
that.
figure out how well this has really been, achieved so far. We may have achieved more than we realized because we don't know that till we see the.
This might be an
The language.
opportunity for lack of loss in, for lack of a better term, so something that's lost in translation, but our consultant that we use on the planning board is Richard Harris, former planner from
Yep.
South Hadley. He's really good. He seems to know every specific detail when it comes to the zoning bylaws. And I don't know if that's something that we might want to consider if we have any specifics in the future to convey to him or get his feedback
Yeah.
from a board level. I don't know, something to consider.
Okay. Sure, yeah. I'm just hoping that, certainly by March, we should get these crazy bylaws approved and have them visible, and they'll be up on the town website and all that, so people can use them as a reference, obviously. So I wouldn't want to plan any meetings anytime soon, because I think we need to, get through that first and see. But we had talked about maybe quarterly meetings anyway. We weren't going to try to make this a big onerous thing, but just to kind of, just keep in touch with what's happening out there and things that, as there's anything relevant to your committees. And we did only focus on these chapters tonight, but going forward, we can go back and pick up, a couple of the others. I mean, we've got economic development, we've got historical, we've got some open space, so those would probably be the next ones next time around as we meet, just to see where we are on that. But any thoughts in terms of when we might want to meet? I mean, I'm not thinking until, I don't know, what are we, February, March, April? I don't know.
April.
End of April or something like that? I mean, how does that sound? Maybe.
Yep.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Not
So-
the school vacation week.
Okay, yeah, there we go. When school vacation?
That's the week.
I never know those
of-
things, yeah.
The 14th?
15th?
15th, yeah. Yeah, not that week.
That week of the 14th. Okay, so maybe toward the last part of the month after that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And does a Thursday evening tend to work for people? Is this okay? And the 7 o'clock time frame? I know, Paul, you've been coaching hockey for your daughter's team, so I assume she's not doing hockey in April,
No,
but...
it's over at the beginning of March,
Okay.
I think.
You never know. These sports seem to have no season
I know.
anymore. I
No,
think,
they
you
don't.
know?
Exactly.
Although hockey might be a little bit challenging, but yeah. Well, let's tentatively put it down at the 25th for right now, for the heck of it. Okay, 25th at 7 o'clock? 25th of April at 7 o'clock,
For some
okay?
reason, that seems like a special
I
day
may
for
have a
some
conflict, but that's,
Oh, you do? Of course you would.
I have theater tickets for that day.
Oh, dear.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, well.
But you can
Well-
do that without me.
Okay, well, we can figure that out. We can see. We can see. I mean, we can maybe do Wednesday the 24th if we had to, if there wasn't a conflict with a planning board meeting or some other kind of meeting. So we'll play it by
Okay,
ear.
24th, 25th, that's fine.
Okay, we'll nail it down as we get there, but in that time frame, okay? So good. Well, thanks, guys. I hope this is sort of helpful. I mean, it's kind of hard to know where we go. We're really just kind of that sort of an oversight committee in a way. I mean, just trying to make sure that we're not losing sight of the master plan, that it's still a living and viable document, that, some of it, as we're finding tonight, maybe a couple of those things are a little outdated now, but maybe not. I mean, there's things that we don't know in more detail probably until we see the zoning bylaws. So much of that, I think, hinges on those updates that hadn't been done for a long, long time. And as Paul said, I know it's been a struggle over years to get them updated, so I'm hoping that we'll have a better sense of what's been done and how that applies to all of this. So, good. Well, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We're adjourned at about 8:37.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.